Welcome. This is Crimey Queen. If you're joining us for the first time, this is the channel where we have fun with words and numbers, numerology to be precise. We are working with number 10 in getting a sense of how number 10 really plays out in our lives. I'm believing that when we understand the functions of the numbers and we can use them or they resonate with us in certain ways that makes sense, we can optimize the vibration in our lives. So, of course, as I say, we're working with 10, and I have been looking at the number 9 as the new, of course, which coincides with first when we do the numerical value for first, and also when we do the numerical value for the word beginning, we see that we are with 9. But um, how about we look at the word begin? Now, begin is 9 or beginning is 9, but begin now gives us another, because I've been in the spellbound realm. So I love the word spell. Okay, so let's look at because I've been doing this numerical values and I'm seeing that 9 is like, as I say, it births newness, and then there's 10 because one tends to follow the other. Or do we say, like I have said too, that um, 9 is really the closeness of or interconnectedness of 1 and 0. That's what 9 is, like a mother and child, or mother carrying, being with child, so to speak. So there we are. So this is 9, which is a 0, and the 1. So it's like the mother and child. And then she gives birth. Of course, this is where she gives birth. She gives birth, and then you have 10. So basically, there is a, not a clear divide between these, if you like. It's the function where one births newness. Newness, of course, we have done this equals 9. I think it's 9. New NAW, and we have the W as well, newness. Okay, so this is 5, 5. I love all these fives in newness. I hadn't done a word with so many fives in there. It's as if all I can say is that in this word newness, what is Mother Eve's characteristic, leaving a trail like it were a woman who had just got married or is about to get married and has a long veil and she leaves a long trail. Oh, it's just lovely. So this is 10, 20, 25, 26, 27. So 2 plus 7 equals 9. So that's what I'm talking about with the number 9 and number 10. So there I just came across the word begin. So we have beginning because beginning seems to go on. It's just endless. It's a process. But when you begin, it's as if there is a divide with end, if you like, begin and continue or end. So begin. So I like the in because that is where 9 and 5 are together. That is beginning and end. There the two are very close together. 7, 5, 2. So this is 10, 19, 26, 27, 28. 2 plus 8 equals 10. So this really takes us from where we get into agreement, like I say, where you begin. You don't begin without having an agreement. You don't begin without having union or harmony. There has to be a sense of agreement or harmony or understanding, or shaking hands, or if it were a contract or you have just started something, you begin here. Hence, we are talking about the word sacrifice, which coincides with the Last Supper. So when we speak of sacrifice, we are really speaking of the Last Supper, because that's where the act of Christ was. When you eat of this bread, or you break of this bread, and you drink of this wine, this is my blood and this is my flesh. Well, it's what it is. Yeah. And I suppose now I am seeing that people have used this template in a literal sense, and that's why I am like really I'm not quite sure how that sits with me right now, but it doesn't really feel nice at all, because it really shows that there is a template that, well, that is used, or we can use this template to really better ourselves if we choose to do it that way. So basically, it is really 10. 10 is something that you have the construct, or you have the elements, you have the nature of what it is, and then you build on it. That's what 10 is about. So here we have been talking about 10. So what was I looking at? Begin. Yes, I was looking at begin. So here we have this agreement, and it's 2 to 8. So it takes us into this two dimension. From here, begin takes us. So it's not beginning, it's begin. It takes us from 2, and of course, when we begin, we are in action with number 3, that vibration. Once you begin something, you have started a process. You can't sort of unbegin it. It's in action. And then you have 9. Well, of course, you begin something, there's a developmental stage for it. Is it going north, south, east, west? Is it going to how you want it to go? Or have you got to stir it like it will a steering wheel? Are you driving to a certain destination? What is it are you trying to achieve? Here we go in that developmental street, and we talk about, of course, when you have achieved something, or you have the rough, you could say it was well, I was gonna say the rough draft, but it's like I had a book, and I published books, and then when I got to this stage, even if it were not really published yet, but I could see that I have completed that book, and it was in my hands, and I could say it is done, like Christ did on the cross when he said, well, it is done. Of course, we could say it's like the last breath, but it did require more action afterwards. But here, when you say it is done, with that eye, you could see it. You're in a position that here, this position of the new. Well, I decided to publish, but do I publish? Do I shrink back? Do I go and get myself back into developmental street? Perhaps I hadn't done something. Perhaps I need to look at the north, south, east, and west again before I really publish this. Or I could continue to face the music and dance, or dance to the music, so to speak, with that F, or face my fear. Because although we are in that new stage is always presenting us with something that has a degree of fear attached to it. And perhaps that's what I need to make sense of with that F. That's why the fox is always being mindful and cunning. He doesn't want to get hunted down. He doesn't want to get shot. So there, we have to be mindful. We have to be cunning and wise. And of course, All that means that we are on a journey, on gypsy journey, because we know we have created a masterpiece. Yes, a masterpiece. We have created a masterpiece. We are on gypsy journey, and we are looking at what have we done. We are checking the next step. We are trying to take this in, but we are being mindful. Yes, I have written the manuscript. I've got it. It is ready. I have sent it off now. I have sent it off. I'm ready to relax, but I am still. Did I do right? Did I do well? Sometimes we still question those things. And this is where we say, you know what? I've done it, it's done. It is done. So there are two aspects of this journey where our eyes are really, whether in our mind's eye, we are saying, you know what, it's done. Just let it go. We have to cut. It's like the seven, it's ready to cut ties right here because it is in an ice cold. It's in that ice bucket. It's in that ice bucket. But it's in that ice that it also has been able to part of the eye, and then it has the sea. It is able to see heaven and earth, as I say, in that high quarters or headquarters zone. It melts away with birthing newness. And when you have got, it's there we are, you've got your book, it's been published, and you think, well, yes, now it is done. What next? You say, now what? Okay, but it's basically giving us an example of what happens in our life cycle. There, it needs nurturing, like they would say. Okay, my nurturing is right here doing numerology because as a mother, as child, you know you need to be looking after each other, looking after yourself. So the more you look after yourself, you can be there for your child. Yes, and that's what we've been about, actualizing self-love. So I hope you have enjoyed this, and let's begin. And begin actually reminds me of the 28-day cycle, which is again something quite symbolical or significant. So yes, wonderful. Okay, so if you like this presentation, click the like button and share because this is how we do it. We share to actualize it. Self love. Stay blessed, stay bright, be filled, be ignited because we are planting new seeds and spill over with love.